Welcome back to Blow Up, the Creator Podcast. It's the show with and for social media creators.
Yep, it's a podcast about elevating your platform, growing your income, and designing a life that you actually love.
We're your hosts.
Anna Bain.
And I'm Jordan Hovater.
And our guest today just so happens to be a gymnast at Auburn University.
Wait a second. Anna, is someone here?
It's Leigh Oldham.
Hello.
And surprise, everybody, she is actually here in the studio
In
with
the
us
flesh, our
today.
first in-person interview.
Guys, I've never been more excited. Yay!
Oh, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So in this episode, we're going to chat with Leigh about facing and overcoming adversity, all things NIL, what it is, what it's done to college athletics, and much, much more. Oh, and dreaming big, too.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
only dreaming.
So we hope you enjoy our conversation with the lovely Leigh Oldham.
All right, Leigh, welcome to Blow Up. Thank you so much for being here in person. This is really exciting. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. This is such a wonderful opportunity.
Monumental day. You drove up from the plains down in Auburn to see us in Birmingham, our first in-person guest.
I know. We were running around the parking situation earlier, but that's okay. We made it.
It was cute. That was almost as long as the drive. No,
It honestly was. Running around downtown.
If you're off today, we had to give you a workout, so at least you get a long, fast-paced walk in at the end of the day.
I had to get those steps in.
I didn't get my run in this morning, so we have to get.
Are you a runner?
Well, so basically, like when things happen in my life, I just kind of make a new routine, and I started this new routine 2 weeks ago that I was going to wake up at 5 a.m. and run. So I am now.
I did that last week.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then
now
I didn't.
It's 4:45
yeah.
because prayer time starts at 6. So
smart.
now it's
before
prayer time, because if I do it afterwards, it's going to be too hot and then I'm not going to run.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so, and I hate running. So I was going to make sure that now I can no longer hate it.
Oh,
so if I do
smart.
it, and I'm like, surely it'll help gymnastics. Surely.
It's got to.
It has
One
to.
way or the other.
It's got to.
I was like, and I need an
Exercise.
endurance. I was like, and it gets me up.
Win the day, win the morning, right?
Right, and I was like, they always say like the early bird, and I like make my bed beforehand. I'm like, that's 2 wins.
I love that.
So,
you
gotta start
Starting every day 2-0. What? So like as a gymnast, what does your typical workout look like if you're not training on the mat or like what do you do for strength conditioning fitness? What does that look like?
Okay, so we have a really great strength coach, and she has been with us for 2 years, and she's awesome. So we do like very specific workouts, and so we'll do like lots of body weight stuff, lots of like strength, like lifting, lots of cardio, but in like workout sets. So in like a HIIT workout or in like sets basically. And then we'll do like calf raises and like hollow holds, push-ups. Like we do like, but they make you like ripped because of how she does them. Because it's not like we're sitting there benching like weights on weights on weights. We're doing like 10 calf raises in each direction. And I'm like,
ooh, ow.
I seriously don't know if there are better all-around athletes than gymnasts.
Well,
I agree.
Thank you.
I mean, it's world-class stuff that you guys do.
Right, well, thank you.
And now you're a runner, so
now you're also like, you should have been a track star too. Like, what? Like, come on.
No,
Wait, seriously?
I'm not even kidding. Wait, so do y'all know? You may not, but Demu Cherry was a Olympic hurdler, and she took time off from the Olympics, and she founded me. So that was like who founded my talent.
No way.
So like I was training at the National Training Center in Orlando under Brandy. Like I went to Brandy Johnson, and she was my coach.
Okay.
And she was an Olympic gymnast, and I was with her daughter Sydney, and her daughter Sydney went to Florida. So we were always like together. We were best friends, whatever. But I was in like mommy and me classes, and Demu was like, she was coaching at the time to take a break from hurdling, and she was like, who is this girl? She's like, get her out of mommy and me. I was like 2 years old.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, she's going into like levels. So I like went from mommy and me to like level 3.
So Leigh, clearly you're a child prodigy.
Yeah,
now you're a super talented gymnast at Auburn.
Like the coolest person I know.
Oh my God.
Catch our audience up on where you came from, who you are, and how you got to being a gymnast at Auburn now.
I got into gymnastics at 2.5.
Oh,
and I started
goodness.
with mommy and me classes, and then Demu came and she founded me. She was a track runner. And so she founded me, and then I went in and I like skipped a couple levels. And then we moved to Holly Springs, North Carolina, which is like little.
Yeah,
but it's right outside
I know
of
where
Raleigh.
that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wonderful place, and that's where I went to all of high school. And I went to a different gym, and that's where I normally you get like recruited in high school, and normally you get recruited. Well, this is not normal. They just changed the rule. But when I was getting recruited, it was in like 8th and 9th grade. So I had my first offer coming out of 8th grade for a school.
That is
Where was
so
that?
young.
Missouri.
Missouri?
Missouri
Wow,
was the first person who offered me.
So big Power 5 school still?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to college. Like, I just remember being like 15, or 14, couldn't drive a car or anything. And I was like, Mommy, I'm going to college. Like, I was like, this is a great day. And I'm in the airplane, we're coming back. And I was like, she should not be worried at all. Like, at least I'll go somewhere. Like,
exactly.
Anyway, yeah. And so then I was there, and I was just being recruited. And, I mean, at this point, I had like a bunch of injuries, but get through them. Like, they're easy. Anyway, so then I just started looking at schools, and I called Auburn, and at that point they were like, oh no, like we don't have any spots for your year. And I was like heartbroken. I think I like cried for 5 days, like just so pathetic. But so I was like, okay, well, I got to take this talent. I wanted to go there, right? And so I had prayed about it, and I was just like, you know what? Like, God will put me back where I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And it will all work out for the glory for him. And I'm not worried about it, but I was depressed, so that didn't change that. But then I was like, okay, I need to take my talents elsewhere, because, I mean, I had a good gymnastics talent, and they say they weren't going to, my coaches weren't going to let me waste that.
Yeah.
And so I continued looking places. I actually, this is kind of a secret, so, I mean, we can tell the viewers, but basically I went and I looked at Alabama, and I like fell in love with it, and I was like, Mom, don't kill me, but I really like this place. And I was like, and I went home, and don't worry, I like put back on my Auburn t-shirt. I was like, I'm never looking at Alabama again. But I was like, okay, but it is beautiful.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, wow, I can see what they mean, but no, like that was just a fluke. It was just a fluke moment. Like, we just had to be nice for a second.
Of course.
You know. And so I went and I committed to Arkansas February of my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
okay.
early, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still
Extremely.
very early.
I could not drive a car, which still like, that
like blows my mind.
It blows my mind too, because I'm like, you're going to ask me? Because they
That's
like
also very early
me.
for Auburn to say, no, we don't have any spots
right.
for you.
And they had like
a lot changes in
multiple
4 years of high school.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's why they had changed the rules. That's why they ended up, because a bunch of people started getting injured. And
of when you could receive an offer or get a commitment or something.
Because it wouldn't make sense to do it so early.
Yeah, and then people started like decommitting and all these things. And so it just wasn't a good system. And then they'd get to college, and then they would transfer, the people wouldn't want them anymore. I don't know. It was a whole mess, because you don't know who you're going to be in college when you're 15.
Absolutely
So
not.
you don't even know who you are when you're 15. So I was just like, okay, anyway. So I committed there and went on visits there and just acted like that's where I was going, right? Because that's all I knew. And I had always told myself, my mom had always told me never to say never, and I was just like, as if moms don't know best. And so I was like, no, like, I'll never be that girl who decommits. That was like my whole thing. Like, oh, I can't believe people would do that. And then I tore my labrum. So this is when like my life changed. And so I tore my labrum on bars. Like, I heard it shred. It had dislocated 2 or 3 times.
Competition or just training?
Just training.
Yeah. Yeah,
and over the summer, it was after my sophomore year of high school. And so I was out all of junior year, but it started ripping in sorry, that's kind of like graphic, but it started ripping in the summer, and it dislocated twice, but my shoulders are so loose. When I tell you, like, the mobility that I just popped it back in, had no pain. When it dislocated, like, I just would pop it back in and keep going because it didn't have any pain.
That's crazy.
And because they were that loose, that like it's almost typical for mine. Okay. Anyway, so it was so bad, and then I was on bars, and I was like, Coach, like, I cannot keep going. Like, this hurts so bad. He was like, keep going. I was like, but he was like, no. He was like super sympathetic, but he was like, are you sure? Like, he was like, you went to PT and they said nothing was wrong with it, and I was like, yeah. But I don't believe that.
They're wrong.
I was like, it's killing me. And so he was like, okay, like take it off. And then, so I did one more turn, and he's like, do one more turn, be done. And I did a giant, and I heard it shred, like just heard it. And so I went to the doctor. I was like, I told my dad and my mom, I like come home and I'm super nervous. I'm like, Mom, like I tore something. And she's like, are you sure? Because you've been going to PT. And I'm like, and he says it's nothing because they're so loose.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like it's torn. And so they took me to the doctor. And they were like, we're going to give you an x-ray. I'm like, can I tell you the future real quick? There's 2 bones in my shoulder, and I can guarantee you nothing's wrong with either of them. And now they're going to make me wait 3 more weeks on a torn labrum and have to practice until I get this MRI. I'm like, oh, this is great. So it tears more in those 3 weeks between the time. So when I go back, he was like, it looks like you took a piece of paper, ripped it apart, and then put it through a shredder. That's what it looked like. That's what the ends of my labrum looked like, apart. And then, you know, like the E-stim thing that you're supposed to like twitch when it goes on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they put it on me, and my arm was hanging there. And my PT was like, do you feel anything? And I was like, no. And he was like, you don't feel? I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of like my skin, but like, no. And he was like, your arm should be like twitching. And I was like, oh, okay, it's torn. And so I went, and it took him 18 minutes to do the surgery.
Wow.
My surgeon. But my surgeon is also like, I mean, he's top tier. He's the hurricane surgeon, the NHL team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so anyway, that was really cool, but that, like, changed my life. And so after that, like, Arkansas, the head coach, he was, like, calling me, and he was like, how long is it going to take for you to get back? Like, what's the doctor say? And he was very supportive, and he was like, okay, good. Just keep me updated on your return. And I was like, okay, great. So for months, it was just like that. And then he was like, okay, like, when are you going to start bars again? But bars was the last thing I was allowed to do because that's what I tore it on, and swinging, and that's just really hard on your shoulder. And so I was like, oh, well, that's the last thing I'm allowed to do, and it takes 6 to 8 weeks to just be able to, like, get back to PT. And then I got to get the strength back, and then all this stuff. So I'm like, it'll be a couple months. And so I knew I was out. And I don't think people put this on the warning label of torn labrums that it's just like an ACL. Like, I mean, it is equally as long. Yeah. Because they say, like, ACL is the worst tear.
An ACL, you're looking at, like, 9 months.
You're looking at 9 months. Okay, I was out for that, if not longer. Like, straight up. I was like, no one told me that it wasn't
going to be that long.
Yeah, like, that they should be. I know that they're not equal in any means, but... And, like, that one's hard because you're holding all your body weight. But I'm like, this one still took forever. Yeah. And so when I was coming back, I had PTSD from the sound of doing bars, which I didn't even realize what I would have. And so
even if your body recovers, you have this whole mental barrier you have to get over, which is maybe even harder.
Yeah, and so then I went back, and I kept trying because I knew. And so Arkansas had called me this one time. They kept calling me, like, we talked, like, every 2 weeks or every week. And he was like, hey, well, like, when are you starting bars? And this is, like, the 4th time he's, like, asked me this. And I'm like, this is 4 weeks in a row. I'm like, I keep giving him the same answer. And so I was like, well, not yet. And he was like, well, we recruited you for bars. And I was like, wait.
Well, you're not ready.
I was like, I was recruited for all around. And he was like.
So that's news to you.
Yeah. I was like, really? Well, I don't know if I would have signed. Like, I was like, okay. And so then I asked him. I was like, because I was on a verbal scholarship. And so I was like, can I talk to other coaches? And so he was like, yeah. So whenever I was being recruited, the head coach from Alabama, she was like, if you ever are looking to move and decommit, please let me be the first person you call, and I can just give you guidance and, like, update you on where people have been. Because when you're kind of out of the game, you know, when you're committed to a school, it's like you're dating someone. And so then you're like,
off the market.
Yeah, you're off the market. And then so things change when you're out of it. So she was like, let me just fill you in and get, like, spots and just availability. So I call her, and she's like, she just gave me a lot of great insight and a lot of good direction. And so then the next call was to Auburn, and he was like, hey, like, so good to hear from you. You know, we have, like, a spot on the team that you win. We don't need bars. And I was like, is it perfect or is it perfect? Because I was perfect. Like, okay. And so he was like, I want to stay in touch every week. And I updated him on everything. And I came back for my senior year of high school, and my bar routine was watered down to almost nothing. Like, it was, I just needed an all-around score. So I just had to put something together
to get
do.
By on that event.
Yeah, exactly. And so I basically kept a secret all summer and ended up decommitting and recommitting within 2 hours on National Signing Day.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It was pretty cool. Like, I called.
Mama was right all along.
Oh, yeah.
All along.
And so I called Mark from Arkansas and was like, hey, like, I can't come. And then two hours later, I called Auburn, and I was like,
how did you feel after that?
I was like, it was just like a divine.
It's like everything you'd ever wanted as a child.
And I'm sitting there signing a paper to Auburn, and I was like, but I came on as a walk-on. And so, which was kind of good because it was a dream for me, and it teaches you how to grind. It really does. And so if it were all, and I love it this way, because if it were all handed to me, you know, if it were just straight out of the gate when I was a freshman and I got it, you know, if it were like a perfect story, it'd be like, oh, well, that's great for her. But then it's like, where's the adversity, or where's this, and where's the story behind it, you know? And so for me, I think that when I came in, I was like, you know what, I got work to do here, and I'm gonna do it. And so I really grinded, and by my sophomore year, I earned a 1-year scholarship, which was like the biggest dream come true. I could still
Incredible.
tell you everything
Yeah,
that happened.
tell
that
us that story real quick when you went into your coach's office.
So he like, after like one random day of practice, it's like a Friday after practice, and he's like, "Hey Mo, like, will you like wait a second? Me and Ashley want to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." And so I was like, "Oh Lord,
What'd I do?"
Well, literally, that's what I was thinking. I was like, because we had Spotter. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's like for athletes, and it's an app to like track you going to class. I'm like,
Yes.
did I like miss a class on Spotter? Because I don't miss classes. And so I was like, what did I do? And I mean, I can get into trouble, so
Everybody can.
Right, and I was like, this could be anything. I'm like, it's probably something I don't even know about that I did wrong. I was like, but you know what? So I like go over. He's like, well, go have a seat like on the tumble track or somewhere out there. So I like go to sit on the rod floor. I'm just chilling, like racking my brain of like, what did I do? He comes over and he's like, hey, and he's like, do you know what you did? And I was like, oh, crap.
Stomach
I was
drops.
like,
Here we go.
Literally, I was like, I was like, no, at this point, I don't. Like, I was like, what happened? He's like, no, I'm just messing with you. And he always does it. He can't, like,
So
he doesn't hold it that long. But I was like, he was like, well, and then he just looked at my assistant coach. He was like, well, do you want to tell her? And I was like, so she was like, well, Morgan Leigh, like, you know, we've been watching you and we've seen how much you've grown. And like my whole freshman year, I was just learning that I was enough. And I think that that's important to touch on because that
you as a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think growing up, and I can say this so humbly, that growing up, I did not think I was enough. Mm-hmm. And it was just something I struggled with that my brother's a genius. I mean, he's extremely smart. And so I never felt smart enough, or I never felt, you know, like I fit in enough because I didn't go to school for all the same hours. I moved in high school kind of when you're finding yourself. So I never felt like I fit in enough, or I was a good enough friend, or it just, you know, enough.
That's something everyone as humans struggles with,
Absolutely.
but specifically with athletes, and then if you're, social media creators, those are two worlds where it's really heightened because your entire existence is competing against someone else or comparing yourself to someone else because, you know, we set these standards, whether they're official in competition, right? There's clear winners, clear losers, and then on social media, standards that we set for ourselves.
Right.
So that is incredible that you learned that, especially so early in college.
Yeah, being a freshman too, I think that's so amazing. You were able to learn that lesson.
Yeah, because as an athlete, I mean, I don't know how you don't get your self-worth from your performance and what you achieve. I mean, that's like what your entire world revolves around.
Right,
know?
Exactly. And
what clicked in your brain to finally?
I'm glad you asked because it was mainly my coach, my head coach, Jeff. He's awesome and he's a great mentor, great role model. And I just remember that whole year he helped me, but there was one time that he sat me down and he was like, "You're enough. Like, stop looking for it in me." And he just kind of called me on my BS. Like, he was like, you don't feel like you're enough. And I was like, okay, ouch. I was like, but
geez.
I mean,
staring into my soul right now.
I was like, I'm just sitting there like bawling with my head coach. And I was like, this is kind of awkward, but I was like, whatever. And so he's like, you are enough and you don't need me to tell you that. He was like, I know that you have God on your side. Like you are enough. You'll always be enough. You were made enough, but now you have to believe it. Cause I could sit here and tell you this all day, every day, and you won't believe it, but you need to know that. And so I just worked that year so hard on being like, so I went to see therapists and I went to, cause like you got to put in the work on yourself if you're going to get anywhere.
Of course.
And so I wanted to pull out kind of all the gunk of the lies I had told myself, or just the things that, because you're always sitting there comparing. And I was like, okay, I came in with 6 or 7 freshmen, and I'm a walk-on. And there were other walk-ons, but I'm trying to earn a scholarship here. And then I'm like, so I'm looking at the girls who have the scholarship, and I'm like, oh, so you already don't feel enough, or then you're trying to make a lineup, or you don't feel enough to like your peers there. And I'm like, man. And so that year I really just had, and that set me up though, because, you know, once you know that, it was just something it was a lesson that needed to be learned. And so I really put on the work to do that. And, you know, they saw that. And I just started being me and just knowing that I was enough and that I wasn't looking for their approval, and just started grinding. And then so my sophomore year, they were like, you know what, we like have seen the work that you've put in and the work that you do in the gym. You're the hardest worker. And she was like the example, the epitome of an Auburn woman, and there's no better person to give this to than you. And I was just sitting there like a mess. I was just bawling, and I was like, my dreams are coming true. It was the biggest dream come true.
Congratulations. That is phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I think that it's very important for people to know, especially in a position like you're in, and you do have so many people that look up to you, like you had so many other gymnasts that you looked up to, but you are that role model and you are able to be that inspiration, but you are also so honest, and I just appreciate you sharing all of that, because I think that it means a lot to a lot of people, especially girls and guys too, of course, but I think it's really special. So
I was just telling another friend of mine, you're never, he plays football, and I was telling him, honestly, this morning, I was on my way up here, and I was like, if you're doing it for your coach, you're never going to play well, because you're always going to be looking for their approval, and you're human. You're never going to get it because you're not perfect. And if you're playing for that, then you're never going to be fulfilled. And if you're playing for you, you're also never going to be fulfilled, because you're not going to live up to your expectations, because my expectations are set way up here, and I never reach them ever, even though I know my potential can. And so, but when I said, when I do it for God, and I'm like, he gave me this talent, and he has led me to where I'm supposed to be. And he just is using gymnastics as an outlet to show anyone his story. And if I can use it in that way, that's what I want to do. And so, that's the thing, is a lot of people have asked me in this stage, they're like, are you going to take the 5th year, the COVID year? I'm like, no. And they're like, you're not? I was like, no, I don't have, my identity is not tied in gymnastics. And I don't need to stay to know that. And if that's his plan, he will make it abundantly clear that I'm supposed to go back. But as of right now, that's not the plan. But then again, I'm like, I should never say never. But he, and so it's just like, when your identity is founded in him, and you let go of that, and you let go of, and when you do it for him, you are just free. Like, you are free to do, and to just do it at the best of your ability, and you don't have any expectations. And it's just really cool, because one kind of crucial piece I left out of that story was I was a soccer player at the same time until I was 7. And then, but you can't do both. Like, when you go into
they're
major
both
gymnastics.
Full-time things.
Yeah. And my mom, I remember being in the car with her, and she was like, Morgan Leigh, she had kind of been bugging me, you got to choose. And I was like, I don't want to choose. And I, being the little princess girl I am, I was like, my world, my way. I was like, no, I don't have to choose, Mom. I can do it all.
I can do everything.
Yeah. I was like, you can. You did it. So why can't I? And so I was sitting, and I was like, Mom, I really like soccer. She was like, that was the wrong answer.
Wrong.
Literally, I didn't even know. And she was like, well, Morgan Leigh, can I tell you that, not many people, not many girls get a talent to flip. She's like, if you can walk, you can run. And a lot of people do soccer. Not that you're not great at it, not that you couldn't be great at it, not that you could have a future with it, but it's not common that someone gets the talent to flip. And she was like, you have a God-given talent in the area of gymnastics, and I think you pursue that. She's like, I want you to pursue whatever your heart says. I just want you to take that into account. And after she said that, I was like, she's right. What I am doing is nuts, and she's right. Not many people had that. And so I'm so glad she said that. Yeah. And because mamas know best. That's
really wise.
Right. Yeah. And so I was like, and it comes from such a humble place that she was just like, look, she saw what God gave me before I saw what God gave me. And it was just cool.
Yeah. Man, I really do want to meet Pam now.
Dude, and listen to this. She had stage 4 breast cancer when I was 3. And my brother was 18 months old. And she was literally about to die. And because it went to her liver, and the next place is brain. Yeah. So she was, and her drug, the doctor from Duke went down from Orlando, and they were doing this new trial drug called Herceptin at the time. Okay. And it worked on her. And no way. It's and they don't have a cure for it. But so she's literally at treatment this morning. So she's been clear, or
in remission, I guess.
Doesn't have been free of cancer for 13 or 14 years now. Wow. But she still does still does treatment to prevent it every 3 weeks, I think, or every once a month or something like that. And she's been doing this, and sometimes we take it. I never want to take it for granted. God's glory, and just keeping her alive, because I don't know what I would have done, without her. She is our rock, but to continue doing it, you know, because she could be like, oh, well, I'm 14 years, like I probably won't get it, but like to keep me in Trey, you know, she's like, I'll do this even though it hurts, even though it's hard. And so to see that, I'm like, okay, even though it hurts and even though it's hard, she's going to continue. So how do I want to do it? And just a great example.
Wow. So and as we've heard about your story, I guess I can see how you'd get a lot of this from your mother, but I see a pattern of opportunity and adversity and opportunity and adversity, and you've been able to just grow and work through all of that, and it's led you to where you are now.
Through the glory of God.
Yeah.
That's
trials produce perseverance, sister.
Amen.
They do.
And now your time in Auburn, you've also seen that from the business side, the way things have been totally shifting too. So you're a unique case where you, as a gymnast at Auburn, played and studied for 2 years, then all the NIL regulations changed, and now you've got 2 years on the back end of that to see the shift that has made across all of collegiate athletics. So we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, but right after that, we're going to dive into all things NIL and brand deals.
Oh, yay.
Can't wait.
So fun.
Surprise, the sponsor's us.
Yeah, surprised we are the sponsor.
Okay. Yeah. So with all these NIL rules changing right in the middle of your college career, first of all, what is NIL for a lot of our creator listeners who aren't athletes? And then what has that shift looked like from your perspective in collegiate sports broadly?
Okay, so the NIL is a way to make money off of your name, image, and likeness. And so...
Because previously college athletes could not make money really at all in school.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't make any money. You could only make money if you had like a legit job and it went through like 4 methods of compliance.
But like
it was
people selling your jerseys, things like that, autographs,
not.
nothing.
Like,
couldn't make money.
And that's the thing. It's like so many players
made the school a lot of money.
Yeah,
or
like got arrested for it, you know, because like there were professional athletes that I remember hearing stories about, this is so random, and I think I could be wrong, but I think Molly, have you ever heard of Molly Bloom? Like Molly's Game, that movie?
Yes,
Okay, so
I saw that.
her brother played, I think, professional football, and then went back to school, he was a professional skier. He went to the Olympics for skiing, and then he went back to play football. Dude's a stud, but basically he took money for being in the Olympics, and then like got cut, or like got, it was, and so, but basically that's like the whole thing. And so, the way I see it is that if you are, you know, gifted enough and God bless you to go to the Olympics or to do pro or anything beforehand or while being in like college athletics, then this is a great way to kind of combine the two. But I think for me, from my standpoint, it's kind of like, you know, if you're Cam Newton, let's say if he were still at Auburn, just using Auburn for an example, but if Cam Newton were still at Auburn, then a bunch of people would know him, and he was big when he was in college, not just saying, not now, but he was huge, and so people would probably buy his jersey.
Of course.
And so that would have been a way for him to make money, and on the side, and so like he could save up to for anything, you know, right, and just get another form, because we're getting. Some people, if you're on scholarship, you're getting paid for your job, and some people aren't. So this is another way to make money and either pay for school, because I know a bunch of people are doing that. So it's a very neat way to kind of do work on the side. But I think for me, it's very interesting because I really like content creating. And so for me, it was very much like there were brands that I would have during like the summer. They would reach out, you know, they DM you and be like, hey, like I'd love to partner with you. We love like your style, whatever. And we want to do a deal. And you always had to say no because I'm like, I can't take a deal from you because I can't make money.
Yeah.
Or and
you couldn't even take products, could you?
No,
Which is ludicrous.
Because, because
that's insane.
You have to take a tax on them. If anything that you have to take a tax on.
Monetary value.
Yes, of anything. So whether or not.
So name, image, and likeness is an acronym thrown around a lot lately, basically meaning that athletes can now make money. And a lot of times that can be an appearance, an autograph signing. It's definitely messed with recruiting across the board, which is probably a separate conversation. But a lot of times, as you mentioned, it looks like athletes doing paid partnerships and endorsements on social media.
Yes.
So that's definitely a route that you've been able to focus on. Tell us about, so what was your first deal? How did that go down? And Give us all the
Why
details.
do I not know? That's so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Okay, but I
Or
can tell
one
you
of your first.
my biggest.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so Michael Kors. Yeah.
No way.
You guys don't even understand. Like, to say that out
Okay,
loud.
what was it? What were you doing?
Like, why me? And like the other thing is that like Bella Hadid was on the cover of the.
No way.
Yep. And I was
Wow.
like, there's no way. There's just no way. And so a year ago, I was on. It was the first launch for like NIL that Michael Kors had done, and so. Basically, this is the smallest world, and they didn't even know this. But basically, like, this woman had reached out to me on Instagram and was like, "Hey, like, we love your style. We're a company that basically connects brands like Michael." She was like, "We're connecting Michael Kors." So it wasn't like someone straight
It was
from
like an
Michael
agency.
Kors. Yes, but an agency. She was like, "We're connecting you, and they want you to do a launch for their new line." And I was like.
Like, what?
Michael Kors. And then, like, the deal was, like,
Casual.
massive, first of all. And, like, got to keep the products, made money on it, too. And I'm like, me. No.
Wow.
I was like, there's just no, like, pinch me. Like, am I dreaming?
Pinch me, I'm dreaming.
So then I'm, like, thinking, like, wow, this is insane. Like, I never thought I'd get this opportunity.
Just unlocked a world of possibilities in your
Right.
mind. You're like, where could this go now?
Right. And so then I'm like, wow, like Michael Kors. I'm like, this is a great one to like have in the, and so anyway, and I was just so blessed and that they chose me or, you know, whatever. And I love the side of content creating. Like I just love that part. And so for me even, and I think a lot of, this is kind of interesting. I want to go back to the Michael Kors thing because it gets very small very quickly. But the other side of it is I think that a lot of the deals that I've taken, I don't even know if they know I'm an athlete. Like straight
Really?
up. Like I think they
Really?
contact me because of my content. And that's what most people do.
Wow.
Like I honestly thought, like in the beginning, I was starting to think, I was like, I don't even think these people know I'm a gymnast.
That's amazing.
Straight
But
up.
now
I
you're
honestly
going to
think
that
that's
line, you're a
kind of
creator.
good
Right,
problem
and
to
I
have.
like it.
Okay,
because
so
I
for
like
so for
content.
context, NIL started almost a year ago. So it was like summer of 2021.
Yes.
At that point, how many followers did you have?
Less than 10,000. Like not
Really?
even kidding you.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
So-
It mainly blew up after the NFT.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So, but you'd been all throughout college, you had been posting content regularly, obviously because you're an athlete. That probably helped it some. And then
Right.
NIL opportunities started coming, which helped you grow more. Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yes, exactly. And
So back to Michael Kors.
Yeah, so the lady who contacted me, I'd been working with her, like, on the whole, like, let me get you the products. Like, we'd been chatting about this whole thing for, weeks, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? And so then my dad, shout out to Mark because we love him. My dad is, like, my manager. That's
That's
his
his
title.
role.
Yes, and he's the absolute best manager anyone could ever have. First of all, the guy is love in a person.
Oh.
Yes, he's amazing, and he goes to bat for me every time.
Man, I want to meet your parents.
But dude, he's awesome. And so he texts me, and he's like the biggest cheerleader. Like if you need a friend, call Mark because he will hype you up. And so I'm like, Dad, like I got to deal with Michael Kors. He's like, no, you didn't, sweetie. Like that's so amazing. Like all this stuff. I'm like, go off, Mark.
All
Anyway,
the emojis.
Right. Oh, that's all he does. Like thumbs up, kiss, all the
Love it.
He's the best. And if you're friends with him on Instagram, he will do the 100s on all of your stories.
I love it.
So, yep.
Okay.
I'm going to
That's
follow
my new
him
goal.
after.
Please,
Yeah.
because if you'll get the 100s. And he basically was like, okay, like who are you talking to for this Michael Kors deal? So I like tell him her name. He like, and he.
Is this the person at Michael Kors or the agent?
The agency.
that reached
Okay.
out? Okay.
And first of all, let me just add in, I think the man could be verified on LinkedIn. Not even kidding you. He's like over like I told him, I was like, Dad, you have like over 500
'cause the golf
connections."
channel,
Right,
right?
because of the
Yeah.
golf channel. And he was like, no, I have more than that.
Oh,
Go
okay.
off, go off, sir. Okay. And so he was like, he is networking. He
I
is
love
who
it.
I want to be. Like, I want to be a mixture of both of my parents, and like that'll be chef's kiss. But he knows everyone, and he's the best guy at introducing to. He just loves people. He just loves people, and he genuinely loves
Yeah.
people. And so he loves meeting people. He gains energy
just a
from
connector.
people. He is just a connector. And so he was like, well, who are you talking to? And I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, he goes to LinkedIn immediately. He's like, I worked on the Golf Channel with her.
No way. What a
I
small
was like,
world.
and I told the lady, I was like, I think my dad knows you. And she's like, what's your dad's name? And I was like, Mark Oldham. And she goes, why did I not connect the dots sooner?
Whoa.
And
That's
I was like,
crazy.
because like my last name. And so she was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And we did. Anyway, so I was like, that is so neat. And it's just so funny how things, like how it's just such a small world.
It's all orchestrated.
Yes, exactly. So then fast forward, I was able to do a ton of different deals through different, kind of like locations like this, like an app that connects you to blah, blah, or just through DM or through my school, or through friends, if they had
How many deals have you done so far?
Oh my,
do you know the number?
No. Like,
yes, ballpark it.
Well, last time I did this, I shot too high. So,
Just the quantity,
like,
not the dollar.
Yeah,
amount.
you don't need to do dollar
right.
amount.
Let's just say like probably around, I want to say 40 to 50.
Wow.
Because it's like
You're
pretty
not
high.
rolling it.
But they're all like little. But then if you think about how,
It
like, I don't
all
know, like 30
builds
to
up.
50. Let's say like that.
So like this Michael Kors
So that,
collaboration, what were like the deliverables for that? What did you do?
I did the first one. Yeah, so this is where I was going to get to.
Oh,
Because I just did another one with them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's why I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And so I think it was an Instagram and then like the first one I think was an Instagram post and a TikTok.
Okay.
And then the last one, and they might have just been both one, just TikTok. But I posted an Instagram for each of them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like on my end, because I love Instagram and TikTok. I do, but like I like my baby's Instagram. If we're gonna
Instagram's
choose,
your baby.
Yeah.
I love Instagram.
Well, I like them both. I probably just take Instagram more seriously, and I'm like,
For sure.
I make sure my
Feed
that-
matches.
Yeah.
It
Well,
prioritizes
not even that, but
aesthetics.
it's just, and so for
That's
like
just what it
TikTok,
is.
I'll just do like random things.
Oh,
Like if
for
I
sure.
see it, because that's what TikTok is. It's so random, and I don't know.
It's also like more comedic too, so you
Right.
can make more funny content, I guess.
Make
on
fun of
TikTok.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Lighthearted.
And it's so interesting, and so I think that's where I put that. But that was a big, very big deal that I still to this day am just blessed and cannot believe happened. And so anyway, that was a really big one. And then we have other ones through Auburn that are really cool, and they kind of collect the they help connect donors to like fans, like really just straight up, because I know that there
It's like
are
a collective.
Yeah, and there are fans. There are apps that connect fans to people, but like it's not as direct as what we do at Auburn, and so it's really fun. And it's called On to Victory, which is kind of cute because it's like our little like
that's sweet.
Lights on.
yeah,
Lining
thanks.
up lights on?
That's the one. That was what I was thinking of. And so it's all of the athletes. So it's very connecting and you just feel
It's like more community
it is.
oriented.
It's so
for the
much
school.
community, and it's just nice like that. It's so cool that a football player, because at first, I do want to touch on this. At first, whenever our athletic director was bringing it to us, when he was like, back when it was still just being talked about, he was like, we don't even know if this is going to actually be a thing. He's like, what do you guys think? Well, I spoke up, obviously, because I was like, well, let me just speak my mind. And I was like, is it going to matter for anyone who's not football or basketball? Let me just say it how it is, because I know everyone in here is thinking that. And they were like, yes. And I don't think at the time they were very confident in that, because they were like, okay, we can see that this is a major concern, that football is going to get more money, basketball is going to get more money. And especially at Auburn, like we were thinking very like SEC oriented. But then once it launched, I kind of like shifted my mind that I was like, if a football player gets the opportunity to do it, then I have the opportunity to do
Absolutely.
it. So I was like, it really is, and that's what I want to tell any athlete out there, that it's what you make of it. Because if it doesn't matter how many followers you have, it doesn't, because you can always grow, right? Like you can always grow a number, you can always grow your platform, you can always grow your, content level, you can always grow your views or, anything. So I was just like, it's what you make of it. And now it's so cool to be like, Smoke and I have the same deal, or he did. Now he's in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So, but I'm like, me and a football player, we have the same deal, which a year ago I would have questioned, and I would have been like, is it really going to matter for us? And it does. And so it's like they treat us all the same, and they are like, you're an athlete, and we're going to make this the best for anyone who's, it's for all athletes, and it's not just for pro quarterbacks, for pro football players. It's not just for these people who have a career after college. And I think that's also what to touch on is like gymnastics. Like, I mean, unless you're going to go be a 24-year-old in the Olympics, which is just rare and good for you, but you're not going to continue doing gymnastics afterwards. So it's also a good way to get into, like I said, I love content creating, and so it's a good way to make a name for yourself and start that platform early if content creating is what you want to do. Because any way that you work it, and the biggest thing for me for NIL is that I'm a very authentic person, and I'm not going to take any deal that I don't believe in. And so I've had a lot of deals and offers that my dad so graciously has had friends in because of his connections. And I'm just like, I've had to tell him, like, one of like his best friends, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't use that product. Like, there was one that was like carbonated water. And I was like, I don't even drink soda. Like, I don't even drink carbonated beverages. Like, I don't like them. And so I was like, I can't.
Wow, I respect that. Because that's not even like a questionable product or service or a weird company. It's just like I know I would never use it. Yeah.
Right. But it also shows your authenticity on your actual platform and on all of your social channels. And that's why people would want to trust you and follow you, because you're not being fake about any of the things that you're supporting.
So that's a great point. So what are your criteria for a brand deal that you would accept? Do you have a few non-negotiables that determine?
Sort of, yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I do a lot of the reaching out because, like I said, my dad has really instilled into me just being a kind human. And he's like, he's big on you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know, his background, he comes from a Navy dad and Olympic mother. So, yeah, I mean, it's the real deal. Yeah, so
like we said, genetics.
you were gonna get there, and he is gonna get there. And so he's like, Morgan Lee, put your foot in the door, because, and that's the thing is, it kind of like the way that he's helped me grow up, and both he and my mom, but like it's kind of fearless. Like he's like, what are they gonna do? Just say like they can't? I'm like, and that doesn't scare me. So when that doesn't scare you, well, then what's gonna go wrong? I'm like, okay, so. I do a lot of the reaching out to brands I like. And so then I think that's kind of what gets around. So I love fashion. I love jewelry. And I want to do the things that I use every day. So like water companies, sure. Or like there's even like new potato chips, or like a lot of, but like even I know a bunch of athletes do the protein powder. And there was this one, and I'm like, I don't use that on my everyday life. Yeah. So why am I going to start now? I'm not. And I'm not going to change my body or change my regimen or change something that my nutritionist wouldn't even pass to do this.
Exactly.
Just to make, and I had the wonderful opportunity to, go to influencers event in the NIL Summit, and Tim Tebow was speaking, and he was like, he mentioned that he had this like $500,000 deal that he was asked to turn down. I think from the baseball career. And he didn't want to. And he did because he respected the baseball coach enough. I hope I'm not getting it. Could have been football or baseball. I think it was baseball. Yeah. But he was like, I respected them enough to know that if that was important to them, that I wasn't going to do it. And he wanted it. And now he like looks back and he's like, it's not all about it might have been his first big deal.
Okay.
So he was like, everyone wants that first big deal, And so if it's not, he was like, if it's not something that, it's kind of like a mom saying, don't go there when she can see what's ahead and you can't. And so, the fact that he took that risk to trust enough, and then, because it'll always come back. And that's the thing is I don't do it for the money. So that's another thing is I'm not searching for the money. I do it because I love it and I want to make great quality content for whoever I'm working for. And that's kind of where I authentically stand, whatever.
We get what you're saying.
Yeah, and so then if I'm going to start there, then I'll like reach out to whatever I wear. And so those are kind of, I want to help my friends. So the reason I met the football player that I was talking about earlier was because he started his own brand.
Okay, cool.
Saved Through Him, I think is what it's called. And so it's
like apparel?
Yeah, apparel and Christian. And so I'm like, that's amazing. And to help another friend out by doing that. So that's what's really cool is it can now connect athletes too. If you start your own brand, like entrepreneurs, this gives you that platform to start. And it's just a great opportunity to do that. So I do have like, if it's something I use every day, then that's a definite kind of yes. Or I definitely do a lot of the reaching out. And so when they do come to me, it's also like, am I going to use it? Does it match the message I'm trying to send? So, I mean, through Auburn and through like most schools, you're not allowed to do any like alcohol content anyway. But like, if it's not some kind of along those lines, if I'm, if my religion is big, like, which it is, then I'm going to do stuff through that have that.
Absolutely.
Or if I'm, I like to support like women-owned businesses or small town businesses or connect to my community. So those are the types of things that I kind of look for and try to keep it homebody and just kind of me. And so if they're bold and they're fun, and so like Michael Kors, that fit perfectly because not only do I love the brand and want to do it, but I would use it every day. I promote it around campus, and so that's the thing, is that I want you to trust me as a content, like as the brand and the company. I want you to be like, like I know she's gonna, because I want to do it, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, is when you do it for money, you kind of have to do it. Yeah. But when you do it because you like it, you want to do it. And I think, like, I remember Simon Sinek saying that, like, when you do it because of your why, it's easier to do it. So
start with why. I was not expecting Morgan Lee to quote Simon Sinek.
Dude, that's my favorite.
I have like even more respect for you now. That's like,
he's like,
he's genius.
He's my favorite.
Okay, you just said so many good things, and there's so many things I want to ask, or we could ask. First, a short question. Would you consider yourself a lifestyle influencer? Like, how would you categorize yourself?
I would say probably fashion and lifestyle.
Okay. That's kind of what I was picking up too.
Sorry, I was going to mention this earlier, was for any like guys too, that if you're into like sports, like bodybuilding or sports medicine, or like, that's the thing, is my roommate, she's into medicine, and she's like, Morgan Lee, I can't even use NIL because I don't have that many followers. And she like lists to me, she's like, all these reasons of why she's like, I'm not really good on Instagram. I never go on it. She's studying medicine. And so she's like, I don't have time for this, but it seems cool. I want to dig into it. I'm like, reach out to one brand you like. Like I'm like, reach out to a candle company. Like she's a cute little like home style girl. And I'm like, reach out to a candle company, or reach out to Joanna Gaines, like a Magnolia. Absolutely. And I'm like, do things you like and reach out. And so she like ended up reaching out to Be Good to People, that brand. And so I think that was really cool of her, because I'm like, just do one where you be bold and you just reach out to them and you just, and that kind of thing. And so she did. And it's what you make of it, really. And so all the, like, if you are a guy interested in gaming, I have seen multiple football players go on and do gaming. Man,
and Twitch is huge, so you can make money just to stream.
Right, and so I'm like, you can do anything from this. If you are into cars, go do it for, so you can honestly do anything, because I love cars, and I told at the NIL Summit, if I could get any deal, it would be like with Mercedes. Like, that would be,
they got a big plant here in Alabama. Yeah.
So, anyway, like, that's what I say, is that it's open for anyone, and anything you want to do, just go after, like, authentically. You're going to want to do it more if it's what you're passionate about. Yeah. So, and that's kind of where I love y'all's company, because for me, it's so big that I love content on it. Like, I don't, that's the thing, is I didn't care that they didn't care that I wasn't or that if they knew that I was a gymnast. I'm like, I don't care, because I will be a full-time content creator anyway. I could do this on the side. Like, I want to do this after I graduate. These are things that I like to do. And so, like, the lifestyle and fashion and that kind of thing. And also just kind of like, I don't know what you consider, like, Madison Pruitt.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, whatever she is kind of what
I would say she's lifestyle.
Like, lifestyle.
No, I would definitely say
fashion,
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Another Auburn girl.
Yeah, my girl.
Come on.
There you
Love
go.
her.
I think she just got engaged.
She did.
That's cool.
Such a cute video.
Yeah, everything you said was gold, especially if you are an athlete who is a creator or looking to become a creator right now. I think Morgan Lee's dropping a lot of wisdom. So, one, take the initiative. I mean, this isn't something that you can, unless you're like obviously a 5-star recruit who got a lot of followers without trying. Like, if you're not taking the initiative in both creating content regularly and 2, reaching out to brands or looking for opportunities, then we can't make excuses about why things aren't happening. And then the other thing that you've not only said but exemplified very well is be authentic. Like, don't chase the money. It's like, you got to know who you are as a person, and especially the voice and the platform that you have, and be patient to wait for the opportunities that actually fit what you're trying to project.
Right. And I do think that's another thing for me, is like, you have to be really careful about your identity and where it stands, and it's important to know that too. That's why, like, I also love Tim Tebow, not just because of Tim Tebow, but I just love him as a person, because I relate so much to him, of being, a Christian athlete and having that will to say, like, okay, it's not about the money. While it looks great and while that's an awesome deal, the money will come no matter what you do. He's like, you can't chase it. And so I loved that. And just the fact that he used his platform for good and to show that. And it's just kind of how you want to be. It's your best foot forward. And that's what my mom always said, you know, being the beauty queen she was always like, put your best face forward. So whatever that means that you do it. And like it says in the Bible, I mean, do everything
it goes beyond
with your
physical
heart.
appearances.
It does. Yeah. And so like when you take that into your work in anything you do, whether it's content creating, whether it's gaming, whether it's cars, whether it's being a doctor, when you do something with all of your heart, like you cannot fail.
Not to get too existential for a second here, but everything you're saying has actually been along the lines of something I've been thinking about a lot the past 2 days specifically.
Really?
I've been telling myself, it doesn't matter what you're achieving or what you're earning, right? Like you can't go after that. What matters is who you're becoming. And if you're becoming the right kind of person, you don't need to worry about achievement and earnings because most likely they will come.
Right.
But you're not doing the things that you're doing to achieve that directly. What matters more is who's the type of person that you're shaping into.
Right. And I think I can't speak for them, but I do know that Michael Kors, I worked with him again. And so I think when you know, it does say a lot. Especially
in influencer marketing, because there's a lot of brands that feel like they can tap out on a specific person's audience pretty quick. So there's a lot of one and dones.
Right, exactly. And such a big company like them that they remembered a year later and they were like, oh, we trust her. We worked with her before. And when you make that foundation of, okay, I can work with this guy or I can work with this girl. I've worked with them before. They're awesome. They respond, they're engaged, they care, like these things. Because it goes beyond. Because if you don't respond and you have 500,000 followers, I mean, but it's all about how you interact with people too. Because like kind of you were just saying, even in your own world, to me, I would always matter who I am to the people I'm working around than what I do. Because if I'm here to make money, then I probably won't be very pleasant. And
you'll never be fulfilled either.
You'll never be fulfilled. But then if you are like, how can I be the best me and serve the people around me and impact them and help them grow their business? And that's kind of what I go into if it's a smaller women's owned business. And I'm like, how can I use what I've been given to promote and use my voice to promote her or to promote them? And that's why it's so cool to be, for me, it's so surreal and so cool to be with these other athletes at Auburn because I'm like, I get to work with them. And that's so cool that I can share this with someone else. And to me, it's just, I mean, it's kind of my background, but it's also just like, how can I serve the people around me and how can I bring light to anyone's life? And that's how I put any foot forward, no matter what I'm in, but especially to, any connection I make is that I'm going to be me authentically and I'm just going to try to add light into anyone's life. And then that's all I can do.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking for both of us, I'm sure you would agree, we both really appreciate how you are taking advantage of this time with NIL in college. Not only to set yourself up for opportunities continually as a content creator, but even more so just how you're using your platform. And then, one more thing to all the other athletes out there. I think Morgan Leigh just said a ton that's great for creators, period. Like, I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
And then one more thing to athletes specifically, really leverage this time now because what we've seen working in the broader creator economy is athletes with really small follower counts, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, are able to get deals that are a lot of times just as good as normal creators and influencers who have in the tens of thousands. So the scales are tipped and you have a huge opportunity. And like you've been saying, just take the initiative and start creating content. Especially like if you're an athlete, the fact that you're an athlete alone gives you a lot of knowledge and experience that so many people that either already are following you or will follow you would benefit from. Like someone that we're connected to and really have a lot of appreciation for as well. You probably know her because you met her at the NIL Summit, but it's Emily Cole, Duke, the track runner.
Yeah, I love her.
She just started making a ton of TikTok videos about how she trains for running, takes care of her body, eats. Like you're an athlete.
Awesome. She's writing a book too.
Exactly.
And nutrition, I think. Yeah, we were talking about it.
So it's like you're an athlete. Awesome. You already have that knowledge and proven experience. Like,
and it's content that
start
people
sharing that with the world. Yeah, especially how fitness obsessed America is. Like that's content that that's good content you can put out into the world that hopefully primarily is to serve other people like you're talking about, but in return, like you'll be able to benefit from too.
Absolutely. And like you said earlier, it is what you make it. And so even if you only have 1,000 followers right now, if you do want to put in the work, just like you did with gymnastics, just like you did with content creation, it really is what you do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can choose during this time in your life that you have this platform and this opportunity to really grow something and make a big impact on a lot of people's lives, but also protect yourself in a financial aspect as well.
Yeah.
Because being a student athlete, obviously, it's kind of hard to have a part-time job when
Even if you're on
sports,
scholarship and
even
stuff's
if you
provided
are.
for, you still have expenses. And
Exactly.
other
Like
things,
expenses are always there. And like, if that's something that you're able to do for your family and for yourself, that's amazing. And it's such a great opportunity to do that.
It's incredible. And also I wanted to add in just kind of, this is like not exactly a question, but I wanted to give a brief example of an email I send. So basically
that'd be
very
awesome. Helpful. Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of what I just do for anyone who.
It's like when you're reaching
right,
out.
Exactly.
To
and
a
so I
brand,
think
template.
Yeah. If anyone wants to take this, basically I just say like, hello, whoever. And then I say, hi, my name is Morgan Leigh Oldham, and I am a gymnast at Auburn University. Which I probably should change that, because after I just got to go to the NCAA Career and Sports Forum, and you are not that, you do that.
Okay.
So I do gymnastics at Auburn University.
Gymnastics,
I'm not
semantics.
It is.
You are not gymnastics.
You're manifesting. Yeah, I am not that. I am more than that, right? And so, but basically, I do this sport there. And then I would say most of the time I add in my major. So I would say like I am a communication major with a leadership minor, because those are my passions.
Yeah.
And so then I go in and I'm like, so I list the things I love. I love fashion. I love jewelry. I love putting my best foot forward. I love being authentic. I love your brand. I've worked with your brand before, or I've ordered from your brand, or I've never used your brand, but I would love nothing more than to try it out and to promote it. And then to promote it to my colleagues, or to promote it to my campus, or to promote it on whatever social media you want. And so then that's kind of how I list it. And I just say, I'd love to connect with you further. And after that, and I'm just like, my email, my phone number is blank, and I look forward to talking to you soon. If you have any questions, please let me know. And then that's kind of how I start, and it gets your foot in the door, and it kind of because you don't want to read something dry.
Of course not.
I'm this, I do,
It sounds more robotic,
right?
if you do
and so
it.
if you, and that's kind of how my dad always taught me, and he's like, Morgan Leigh, always take the initiative to reach out, but when you reach out, it can look like that. Hi, my name is, I do this sport for this university, or if you're not in that and you're a content creator, I'm an upcoming content creator, and I would love to get my foot in the door with your company, or I would love for you to take a risk on me, or even just say like, I am a content creator, and I would love to, blank. So whatever you are, and then put in your interest, put in your kind of like your quick resume, or what you do, or where you studied, or what you study, and then I say just put in your interest, and then always finish with I always wish the best on them. So then just all blessings, and then I'm done. So that's kind of, if anyone needs.
Short and sweet, cover your bases, very personal.
Yes.
Of yourself, but personal to the brand.
Right.
Do you think a big difference in what you usually send is that last part, like, would love to connect further? Because you're not coming in like saying, I want to post for you, and this is how much I normally get paid for stuff. It's just like, hey, I want to.
I never say that.
Like, let's make a connection.
Yes.
That's the key.
I mean, I don't know how other people do it, and that may work for them, but I never start with that, because it is about, like, I care about you more than I care about them.
If you have 45 plus deals, something's working for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It shows that works.
Yeah.
And people love kindness, and
it's
even
my dad.
I love that.
Straight up learned it from my dad, and he's like, Morgan Leigh, connect. But he always showed me how to, it's not connecting to gain followers, it's not connecting to gain numbers, it's not connecting to use someone else. It's connecting to know the person. And my dad is the epitome of showing just that love and kindness, and being like, if you saw him, he genuinely wants to meet you. He doesn't care what you do. He doesn't care where you come from. And that's how I want to be. And so it's more of just like, I would love to connect further. If I sound like I'm up your alley, take a chance on me, or like, let's work together, and I'd love to talk to you soon. If I'm not, then like, that's fine. But that's kind of also why I list that, because if I'm not, and you are like, no, let's do a deal, then I'm probably going to be like, well, that doesn't really fit with me. So you're also kind of adding that, and I just being authentic and saying like, you know, I'd love to connect with you soon. Hit me up whenever you can, or let's connect. Then whenever you're free, then that's what I do, and I can move my schedule around. But that's kind of how I start, and
I think that's a great approach.
We both really respected your responsiveness because that's just rare.
Oh, yeah.
Not just with athletes, but with big creators in general.
Because I followed Morgan on Instagram followers. So, and then she followed me back. So,
and then we're besties.
Now we're
here we
besties.
are.
Yeah, literally. And so, but when she sent it.
All because of everything you're talking about right now.
Right.
And the person that you are. Yep.
Oh, thank you. But
yeah,
I learned it from the big dogs, Mark and Pam.
Mark and
we love
Pam.
them.
So undoubtedly you have certainly been leveraging your time here in school
Yes.
for a greater good beyond yourself,
sure.
but it's also benefiting you too.
Right.
Back to that NFT project. So that was something beyond brand deals that you've done, and you said that was kind of when your page really started to take off a little extra.
So it was
what in the world was that?
It was all Mark's idea. Again,
That's
he
amazing.
was like, Morgan Lee, he texted me, do you know what an NFT is? Oh, what? I was like, no, I don't. And he was like, okay, well, it's a non-fungible token. And so my best way, a lot of people have asked me, and I've, done a couple interviews on what it is, but basically the way I like to describe it, dumb it down, is like, it's like a digital baseball card.
Yep.
For, because people collect those. And they've made them that they could be paintings. I've seen the monkey picture like a million times, like this monkey NFT.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And I'm probably being so
I've seen it too.
disrespectful. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is.
Not like board ape yacht club or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like the original NFT.
Yeah. And so I see that.
But
everywhere.
NFT basically is a way to make something that's one of a kind or a specific number of items with a digital asset, and you can verify like who owns it. It's almost like a title too. Yeah. So it's like this is an original baseball card and I own it.
Yep.
But it's digital.
But it's just digital.
Yeah.
Which I think is that's the best way I can describe it, because now everything's going digital.
Yep.
And people only have their phones, and people don't even have like paper documents anymore. And so anyway, that's kind of what that is. And so he had asked me, he was like, do you know what an NFT is? And so we talked about it, we researched it. He's like, well, I have this artist who I'm going to connect you with that wants to make an NFT. I'm like, an artist? Like, because most NFTs
like a paintbrush on canvas artist.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, he's a painter. And
not a graphic designer. Yeah.
He's amazing too. His name is Jason McTier, and I think he's located out of Georgia, but I forget the city. And so my dad had connected with him, and he is amazing, first of all, and his talent is so God-given. He's wonderful. But most NFTs, I think, are digitally created and then digitally sold. So this one was I think I was the first female fine art NFT.
Wow.
So so we had like a whole, I don't know if you've ever seen any of like Tom Brady's NFTs, but they have like a whole launch page. And the thing that was so like my baby and so special about this project was that I wanted it to show more than just be an NFT. Like I didn't want it to just be something I sold in a piece of artwork. I wanted it to mean something to whoever bought it. And Jace, on my Instagram, I have the whole launch video and the launch page and everything. But basically, I wrote a short story of my story and my why, of just what I've been through and who I am and why I made this. Because kind of like Simon Sinek said, like, it all begins with your why. And if I'm not doing it because of my why, I shouldn't be doing it at all. And so that was so important for me to add, that I want you to know that I have substance behind me while I do something. And so basically, he created this painting, and I want you to imagine that's 2 pictures of me on beam. So I gave him 2 pictures, and one picture is me getting ready to go before floor, and I'm kind of like half turned my head back, and I just have like just a straight like game face, and it is just like all eyes, all determination, and just it's so cool. And so then the other picture is me on beam, and it's after I had just finished my series. And he combined the 2 photos and painted it with that, like, I'm gonna butcher it. I don't know what it's called, but that like knife thing, like the butter knife.
Yes.
So he painted with that,
Yeah.
and the whole video on my Instagram is the video we made like a hype video for it, but it's him painting it.
Wow.
It's snippets of how he painted it, and he just moved paint with this metal object
Stunning.
into me.
That's amazing.
And it's like my eyes and everything, every feature. And it's so cool because that picture doesn't show a gymnast on beam. The picture shows a girl who had a dream to be at Auburn and to be a gymnast and to do it because of the God-given talent she was given to inspire girls. And that's what to inspire anyone, but to inspire young kids to follow their dreams, guy or girl. I wanted to let you know that I've been through it. This was my dream and I made it here. And that's what I wanted to inspire, that no matter where you come from, no matter what you do, if you have all heart and you believe in you and you want something bad enough, you will get there and you will make a way. And that's what I wanted it to show, was just who I am and instead of what I do.
Absolutely.
And so it was very cool. And we turned it into, he has the original painting and we turned it into an NFT. And it was one of the coolest moments just because the piece of artwork, it's insane. So that speaks for itself.
Stunning.
But that's his talent.
You said there were 2 photos. He chose one, made one painting, or made 2
both.
paintings.
They're both of them are on the same painting. So it's like me on beam and then my face in the other corner. Like there's 2 of me.
That is incredible.
On the photo. It's so crazy.
Okay, so you made the NFT. You sell the NFT?
Oh, yeah.
What? Okay.
So it has
Are there a lot of different
I think
copies of it, or
just 50?
50, okay.
Yeah. So we try to keep it pretty low.
Sold it online, obviously.
Yep,
do you know
OpenSea.
all the people that bought them, or?
No, my dad kind of covers that.
Okay.
Manager.
Yeah.
No, but that's fantastic.
He's
And you said
done
that's when your platform started to grow even more. You already had a decent following, but
and it kept growing from
more than doubled, probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
More than double.
a lot from just press that you received around
Yeah,
the project,
I did a
and
lot.
then it being shared on social media too?
Yes.
Yeah.
And my dad, coming from the Golf Channel, he has a lot of good connections,
Connections.
especially on radio. And so I did a lot of interviews right after it. I did a lot of stories people did. I had a lot of news channels. I think AL.com might have covered it, but a lot of Alabama news covered it. So yeah, that was he just got lots of people to cover the story, and it was really fun. So yeah.
What a unique opportunity for real.
It was crazy. And I've gotten to work with Jace on it. So Jace came to Auburn and we shot the hype video there in front of Samford. It was so cool. And so that's what another one of my favorite parts is that I would come here any day of the week just to be with you guys and to work literally with the people that I'm working with. And so it means so much more. And it's kind of not to plug the SEC, but it just means more.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I do, in fact, happen to be an SEC fan, so I'll echo everything you just said. Yeah. I won't say who of, but
he likes Auburn. Don't let him
I do
fool
like
you.
Auburn.
No, he loves
I do
Auburn.
like Auburn. Love's a strong word, but
He loves Auburn.
in another life, I probably I could have gone to Auburn, so I'll give you that. Yeah.
That still sounds a little hesitant, but I'll take it, I guess.
We'll work on
We'll
it with
work on
him.
it.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
keep chipping away.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I think Auburn has some of the best people, so I always had high regards for the school. Yeah. We're going to wrap up with a little bit of a speed round, lightning round questions. So these are all quick, short answer that
Rapid fire.
should be easy, but it'll help us to get to know you
Just
a little bit more as we head out here. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. The first one is something we ask every guest.
Okay.
What did you actually want to be when you grew up? I guess career-wise.
I wanted to be a doctor.
Oh,
I did too.
Yeah.
I think only because of it looked cool, and I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor.
Yeah.
But then I realized I was not gifted in that area.
But you were gifted in other things.
And now I can't even look at blood.
Same here. Yeah.
So funny how that changes.
Okay, how would your teammates describe you in one word?
Energy.
Ooh, that's good.
a good one.
That's
I
good.
like that.
Yeah. You prefer text, call, or FaceTime?
FaceTime.
Ooh, see, I knew that was going to be it.
I love FaceTime.
Yeah.
Actually, can I say NA and just come into person?
Yeah.
Literal
Yeah.
face-to-face time.
Go out or stay in?
Go out.
Can do it. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I love this.
I'm excited for this one.
Y'all are gonna kill me because it's
Oh, no.
nothing.
You wouldn't. You would say no superpower?
No superpower.
Okay.
Because, I already have God, like, and I already got everything I need, and I'm me, so that's my superpower.
Hey, I'll give that to you.
Best answer I've ever heard.
You didn't upset me. Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh, well, it's the guy from the Vampire Diaries, Damon. But like back when he was in the like, cause now
like
in
now
his
he's
prime.
getting older,
right?
you know.
But yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Good answer.
Oh no, Daddy Swanson. Sorry.
Oh,
and
Dansby?
Yeah.
That's my biggest man crush by far.
Yeah, definitely mine too. And like, yeah, now it's become this whole joke.
Man,
That,
now we're
like,
gonna have to fight over him.
But now my dad, like, I call him Daddy Swanson too much that it's become like my dad's like, how'd Daddy Swanson do? And I'm like, my dad just said
You
that
can't
back
say
to
that.
me.
No.
And I was like, oh wow.
Whenever he posts pictures, I like send them to my wife.
Yeah.
And I've thought about naming my dog Dansby one day. Anyway,
oh
that's
my goodness.
for another time.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sport at Auburn other than gymnastics?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, baseball.
Oh, baseball. Okay.
Okay, all right.
I'm a big, and my team would tell you, like,
Yeah.
I don't miss a game. Like,
Love that.
I love baseball, but we use the same arena, so we're close with the basketball guys. And so
okay.
when you said Auburn, but I love baseball and I love watching baseball.
Yeah.
And it's such like an
Two of y'all's
American
best
sport.
players are actually from Sanford, our school.
I know, Sonny.
Brooks and Sonny.
Brooks and Sonny, yeah.
Yeah.
Sonny I had the funniest interaction with him. I had a boot on, and we had a class together, and I knew that he was new because I'd never seen him in like a transfer, but we all had the same backpack. Like all athletes have this like white backpack. And so he was coming in on a scooter to class, and okay, I didn't know Sonny, right? And he didn't know me, but we knew that each other were athletes. And so I had a boot on because I had these massive shin splints, and they were killing me. She was like, my trainer was like, you're walking to class in a boot. So I go in a boot, and Sonny comes in, and it's just me and him in the elevator going up to class. We had the same class. And he's like, what'd you do? And I was like, oh, I have shin splints, so they, booted me. And he's like, does it hurt?
Well, duh.
And I was like, respectfully, how do I answer that? Like, I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, does it hurt when you're at practice? And I was like, is it like dumb question day, Sonny? Like, I was like, what?
It's a dumb
and he
question
was like, does it hurt at practice? And I was like, yeah. And he like looks at me funny, and he's just like what? Like when you hit the horse? And I was like,
He thought you were
like,
equestrian.
yeah. And so I was like, excuse me? Because like we call our vault table a horse, but I'm like, only gymnasts would know that. And
That's
I'm
so
like,
interesting.
right. And I was like, hit the horse. And he goes, yeah, well, aren't you equestrian? I was like, no, I'm a gymnast. And I was so taken back by it. And I was like, and I said, well, what sport do you shot put? And he was like, I'm a baseball player. And I was like,
oh, that's so good.
I was like,
he
I
deserved
think mine's
that.
worse. Like, I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, and then I show up because at this point, it was in like the winter. That was a winter semester class.
Oh.
So then I come back to like their first game, and I didn't know he was the best player on our team. Like, I'm like,
That's hilarious.
That was so
What a great
disrespectful.
first interaction.
Literally, and we were both so like,
This-
it was kind of like hostile
dissing
yet
each
like
other.
funny, but kind of like,
What are you, shot put?
and
That's
I was
great.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, what sport
Little-
do you play? Shot put? And he was like, baseball. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm
little
so
little
sorry.
Auburn Sanford love there.
Yeah.
All right, Morgan Lee, last question. If you could fly anywhere in the world for free, where would you go?
Oh, that's so tough.
Or one of the places.
Greece. I've always wanted to. Oh,
Can we
Italy.
please go?
Italy. I don't know.
Do you like
they tie
Mamma
for-
Mia?
I've
you
never
ever
seen
you-
it. I know. I'm so sorry.
All right, Mamma Mia.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I hear
You want to
Greece-
see the Mediterranean is what I'm hearing here. Mediterranean
Yeah.
Sea.
Yeah.
Like the coast of Italy, coast of Greece, islands, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great
You got
answer.
it. You
Hard to
nailed it.
beat.
Yeah.
All right, well, Morgan Lee, we seriously are going to have to plan a trip, I guess, to Greece.
Yeah. Like ASAP.
But before we do that, I'm going to have a movie night with you, and I'm going to have to
Culture me.
let you watch Mamma Mia because we kind of have to do that as a little prep time.
Oh, love that.
You know,
girls' night.
Girls'
Just
night.
kidding. Y'all
Jordan,
do
you
that.
can come
So
if
I'm
you
excluded.
want
No,
to.
all the girls are welcome.
Oh, so it still is girls' night, and
Yeah,
I'm invited.
It's still
But yeah,
it's girls' night
girls' night
plus
Okay.
Jordan. It's
Noted.
perfect.
Noted.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll allow him to come
It's
for
the
sure.
fam.
It's the fam.
I'll make an appearance.
A little fam time. But seriously, Morgan Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and more importantly, being here. Thank you so
Yes.
much for driving down to see us. We have absolutely loved getting to hear your story, and we appreciate so much you just being such your authentic self and sharing your story with us and with all of our listeners, as well as giving them some really, really great advice that I know that they're going to pull away from the podcast today.
Absolutely. And most importantly, as you said before the show, we're all besties now.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
this won't be the last conversation we get to have.
no.
And I'm
no.
already looking forward
Definitely
to the
not.
next.
Me
Yes.
too. And guys, thank you so much for having me. Like, truly, the pleasure is mine. And I would do this again and again and again, every single day if I could.
Woo.
But yeah, I love y'all. and
Well, you're
thankful to be
inspiring to
here.
us, certainly. And we're wishing you all the best this last year of college and your last season. So
I'm so excited.
yeah.
It's going to be the best year. But, before we go, I got to give a good War Eagle.
Oh,
to
go
all
for it.
to all my fans out there.
That's
my,
right.
My Auburn people.
Go Dogs and War Eagle.
Oh, there it was. I was just trying to see why we were so hesitant earlier with the Auburn. There, I got it.
That was
Yeah.
it.
That was go Dogs.
the
My
reason.
cousin went to Georgia actually, so it's kind of like house divided. I
okay.
respect.
Well, we can fight over this over lunch.
Yeah.
Morgan Lee,
Absolutely.
Let's go get some food.
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.